Hello, this is Bharat, and this is the eighth video in the series on certain topics from UGC Net, and I'm going through very particular things, not the entire range of what you'd find on YouTube and elsewhere on the internet, and that's a great. I mean, people do this. People listen from a lot of sources, and I'd recommend same. I'm not the only source of. I'm not the only point. Which I mean, I'm not the sun, as it were. If you were studying English literature, if you had this poem on your syllabus, something, this should click immediately, right? So, beams of light from her eyes, beams of light from Belinda's eyes, something like that. Yeah. So if you were going through this poem, this should occur to you. And this is what I'd like to encourage. I would like you to go through these things regularly. I would like you to go through the official website on a regular basis, as I've said in one of these videos that I've been making recently. And here is a list of all downloads you can have for various subjects on the UGC net. Now, why would you go through another one? Why would you go through political science, for example? Let's see. Kautilya. I've already talked about Chanakya. So, Indian philosophy syllabus. Okay, that's Oxford. And I would want something from India. Indian classical Indian philosophy. Hmm. Let's look at this. Aurobindo, Gandhi, Mishra. Okay, Mishra is different. Mishra is a an authority on Aurobindo and so on. But yes, Aurobindo, Gandhi, and Secret Book of the East. That's Miller, Max Miller. जैन बुद्ध और गीता के आचार आचार ओके Tarinao, the Ariano. Okay, yeah, there can be a better way of, reading and writing this. Point being, Swami Dayanand Saraswati, yes, yes. So, Guru Granth Sahib, yes. Indian philosophy, Kautilya. Kautilya. I'm looking at names, so you'd be interested in names, not the rest of the that changes. The names are important, right? So the Republic. So a lot of it is about what Plato and Aristotle. It's been going on, and it will go on, and everyone who studies philosophy will sometime in his or her career course have the wish or desire to express something, or even pursue it as a substantial part in their professional career and so on. I don't want to get into those things. I've been talking about Plato, and it is stable. So Staple. This reminded me of I tried this and Coriolanus. Now, yesterday, the brain responds to its own name than to other things. That's one thing that I read yesterday. Meanwhile, the brain activity was being recorded. Results show that, as expected, the brain response to one's own name was much stronger than for other names in neurotypical adults. Strikingly, this preferential effect for their own name was completely absent in adults with ASD. I don't know the technicalities. I don't know what these medical labels are, and I will refrain from talking about those things because this is for people who are well versed in some very particular area in medical science. So I'll stay shut up about that. The point is, I read this yesterday, and what struck me, among other things, was that the brain responds to its own name. So again, you are your brain. So you are your brain. You might have come across this before. If you haven't, please do have awareness of what kind of things have been said about the brain. And if you read scriptures, you will have all of this. I've already discussed study the psyche, right? Psyche and the brain. I don't know. Wait. See, psychology in something that goes back in time. How would you counter that argumentation? Retrospectively labeling things which probably were not there. This has been one of the things that I've had on my mind for quite some time. I'm not going to those. I'm not getting into those things. But coming back to where I started, previous year papers, political science, Kautilya. So all of these things are connected. It's a graph again, graph of philosophers, network, graphing the history of philosophy. That's the kind of thing. So how philosophy influences on Shakespeare. Cite Wikipedia. Wikipedia has a card, right? If you've paid attention, influence on Shakespeare. But I'll just go to the Wikipedia page. This card I'm talking about, this box card, whatever they call it at Wikipedia, and you have these boxes. I think there were boxes. This is coming down the tree. I want to talk about what influenced Shakespeare, and you will find resources on such things on the internet. And I'm doing all of this because this is how you study. You will have to read books, and you do read books and so on, but then you take notes and convert your reading into more concise representation, and from linear to pictorial, or two-dimensional, or however. Again, be my guest if you want to come up with some metaphor. The recent one is one recent metaphor that I use is freshly baked and so on in a previous video. Let's not get into things about language, right? It's not something that you want to be spending time on. I can tell you this from my own first-hand experience. Influence on Shakespeare is what you'd want. Oh, okay. Influence is on Shakespeare. I can't have anything on the Wikipedia, so from Wikipedia, Shakespeare influenced by these people: Chaucer, Marlowe, Montaigne, Moore, Spencer, Seneca, Virgil, so many Latin authors, and that is how you study. One of the books that I referred to was Simon's, J.A. Simon's, and Shakespeare's Time. So Shakespeare's milieu, what the dramatic scene was at that time, Elizabethan drama, and Shakespeare's predecessors. Yeah, that's the name. Yeah. So these are old books, and you will. That's another question, and I have it here for you. These are some of the things I was going through. I was saving to show you, and I have shared the entire screen anyway. So I will go through some of them, maybe not all. Depends on how much I'll be able to cover in this 50 minutes, 40 minutes, whatever I'll be able to record for. The importance of reading histories. So today, I have come across this on the internet. There are discussions you'll find this that previously they used to teach from the beginning. They used to teach histories and so on. Now they want you to the academics. It's expected of you. It's desired. It's in fact pushed. Um, it's they're making it. I mean, a requirement, a mandate. To read only current stuff, not histories. So, question comes up: how much of today's psychology is affected by Freud and Jung? One other name, and I have had this more than willing to give you this. One other name is Erickson, psychology. So that would be a very interesting inquiry, and I've already mentioned Mimasa, and you could pick up a topic and discuss it and go on talking about it and make a book out of it, or a series of essays, or that's how these things come into being. So, essays on particular topics from various publishers, you'll find them. Faber is an academic publisher, I think Faber and Faber. So, publishers by areas they cover disciplines they cover. If it is possible to find this kind of thing, so you would want to know what Faber specializes in. For example, what Methuen specializes in. Methuen, I don't know. Again, don't ask me for pronunciations. I'm not the best person to ask about pronunciation. What Methuen specializes in, and so on. What There are so many. I mean, When specializes in. So acting theater practice for over 100 years, and that's another thing that you want to learn about because you're learning English literature. So publishers by area, they cover Faber, Erickson, that's pointers again, how much of today's psychology. So that is part of this inquiry. Okay, the importance of reading histories, the importance of reading histories. That's what I would like you to um, discuss. That's what I would like you to find out more about. What are the benefits of reading history books? That's something different. That's not histories of particular things, of particular of histories of this topic, history of that, history of. Now again, you can't have, I mean, you could start by a history of lamps, history of material artifacts found in archaeological sites, things like that. That's different. What I'm talking about is history of disciplines. That's what I want you to focus on. That's something that I would want you to, that I would focus on if I were to talk about these things, if I were to have a say. So this is a question that is part of how much of today's psychology is affected by Freud and Young. And then there is something called applied psychology. Applied psychology in which you can imagine things like raising an eyebrow to have an intended effect on the subject, so to speak. And I don't want to get into those things. So I could, for example, talk about. You don't have to. I mean, you already know this. It's not something that you have not come across already. Again, so many things. It's not the annotation that you get into. You've already gone through that, but you don't know the meta data or meta information, or that's one word I've been using, meta information. So you've not been going through this information, and you would not be interested in such information. And this has to do with things like I'll get to that in a moment. I've said in one of the slides that not knowing is perfectly fine. Okay, I'll come to that in a moment. So, as I'm saying, Dr. Watson, Sherlock, season one, scene one, and I'll stop there. No, I'll have to be more, I'll have to be broader in my. See, how I'm. This is another. I mean, they will be doing research on this as well. Those who have the means and the time and the interest and so many other requirements, they will be doing research on this. And I can give you an idea. Caption competition. I've already. I mean, it's not the first time I'm saying this. Saying this as in meaning expressing this in some medium. Caption competitions can be. So there is a real project I can give you. So captioning for Wikipedia images, GitHub or elsewhere, I don't know. So this is from years ago. I've been writing code. I've been developing websites for. I've been writing programs for years, and this is one of the things that I've come across in these years. So this with image captioning with AI. Again, I've already told you, stick the words AI, artificial intelligence, whatever. Stick that with everything that you could conceive, and try to find out what's there. There will be something or other on everything that you can stick AI with. So anyway, captioning for Wikipedia, yeah, caption competition, and so on. So I'm trying to find out if I get. This is the drill. I'm. This is the question. Do I get the right picture by using a combination of words? So far, I haven't got it. And how fast? So that's, for example, zero shot in ML, machine learning. Okay, that's not exactly what I'm talking about, but it is related. The concepts are related. I can be more specific, and I think using just one word will do the trick, but let's try to narrow it down. Okay, it so happens that first scenes don't the coverage is not to that point in the. So again, you would say from where to where would you have first scenes? That's the kind of it's a continuum, right? A continuum. Continuum. Continuum sequence of things. So real numbers. You know. Okay. The funny part is that there's so much focus on aesthetics. Continuum. So continuum. Integers, real numbers, right? Real numbers. So a continuum is it goes on and goes on without. You can go on. You can have as many decimal places as you want, right? It's related to the concept of infinity and so on. So where does first scene start and where does it end? So it's definitely not first scenes. So I'll have to, and it's not season one, or it is, or is it? I think it is season one. Consultation doesn't give me. I believe this would work. Okay, I won't leave it to. I won't leave it for you to guess. Yes, exactly. So what I'm talking about is applied psychology. Yeah, this one. I think it was this one. This is from again. We are talking about things which can. I mean, this is. I mean, I would suggest. I would suggest you to look at things like you could talk about things like that for sure, for sure. Okay, I was talking about applied psychology, and that led me to that particular scene from Sherlock. Okay, there is ongoing research on this kind of thing, and I can actually perform searches and give it to you and point you into directions. But let's. I mean, this is not something I want to be talking about. I can choose to speak on what I want to speak on, and so can you. So some of the things, right? So for example, again, coming back to okay, now that I've said these things, and I've said that there is this not knowing is perfectly fine. Okay, A, or I should say A and B. So I'll go to the slides. Not to know, it's okay not to know. One cannot know everything, right? So I've already mentioned how, see, how do military lessons in language go? Learning 7 languages in 7 weeks, programming languages. There's a book. Yeah, this is the book. So it's up to you. It's up to the time you have available. It's up to how much you are prepared to fight against your inertia and so many things. Now that of foreign language training, this is again this is United Kingdom. The other day we were looking at United States. For once, for once, because I have to discuss these. It's This is what I would point you to, and you'll find something very important connected with what I'm trying to get across here. And for point B, my answer is I don't know the rank. I'll beg your pardon. Yes, I didn't want to say it wrong for sure. For PTSD in particular, the name is, any guesses? By the way, the name is, okay. So now, how would you counter argue this? How would you counter argument what I'm saying? Counter counter to A and B. A counter would be, it's okay, it's okay for these people to say these things, and that's one, type one. Okay, and then it degrades to things like not everyone gets or can get into the army and so on. So counter to type 1, there is things like NCC, NSS, and if one can make it a territorial army, and I'm sure efforts are ongoing towards such things. So I will stop it here. I'll close this argument here. Okay, argument, example argument. Okay, so I'll close this here, and get back to what we're talking about. Why do I say this? Why do I say that these names, and where do I get to graphs and everything? Okay, there is a lot here, and I will go into those things later, perhaps. What's that? Graphing the history of philosophy. Yes, this is what I mean by graph. And here, for our purposes, Plato and Aristotle, such big circles, right? And this is Western philosophy. Leibniz, Descartes, Barucha. Is it? I don't know. So this is part of a big, yeah, Nietzsche, Heidegger, Hegel, Kierkegaard, Spinoza. You can see all European names, right? Western philosophy, Hume, Mill. Again, I'll come to that. Wittgenstein, I've mentioned Chomsky, probably. William James is, of course, yeah. So William James is the founders of philosophy, modern philosophy, and so on. He is the brother of Henry James, the novelist. So you will know William James if you know about English literature, if you know about literature in America, you will know about Henry James and therefore about William James. So this is the kind of thing. I'm sure there will be tools online that will give you graphs for the data you input and so on. And I'm looking at something ready-made. If there is something I'm interested, otherwise, no. Um, yeah, there's a whole website, and you can go through this website. I'll have to, I guess, see. These are screenshots from the website, right? Where is the website? Nice. Where is the website? I think this is the website. Nice website. Nice discovery. Thanks to you, people who inspired me to make these videos. Anyway, so let's see. I'll come to what I'm trying to get across in a moment, but let's explore this website. I don't know. I know very little. I promise you, I have no idea about half of the things I show you here, and you may know the proverb, "Ignorance is bliss." But anyway, so yeah, looks like the site will take some time to load or something. I don't know. I'll just click anything. Okay. I don't know anything about. I'm not endorsing this again. I keep saying that for very particular reasons. Time enough, players. Let's go through this. Skepticism is one. Okay, Plato. Yeah, Plato. Let's go through Plato. Yeah. So this is what you want. Such a great project. I'm impressed really. So point being, doing this manually, doing this by hand, it'll take you forever. Don't do this. On the other hand, don't pay for these things, because as I've said, if it applies to me, it applies to everyone, everything, every entity. And you could talk about non-proliferation of MOOCs and so on. Okay, so anyway, bantering. Bantering is different, but is bantering the word? No, bantering is not the word, right? So you should know your words before using them. Yeah, so you get the idea. Now coming back to this, as some of you, as probably will be realized, it's a matter of time. Okay, that's Lord Tennyson. We'll talk about Tennyson later. But Kautilya, Plato, Aristotle, social contract, Rousseau. I asked you, out of these five questions, how many overlap with what you find in English literature syllabus? There is for sure a lot of overlap, as you'll realize. So, for example, when you're reading Wordsworth, you're talking about Barclay, Barclay. Parliament and influence of Burke. I think it's Burke. Influence of Burke on Burke the parliamentarian on Wordsworth's poetry. Yes, yes. Barclay is a philosopher. Barclay is different. So when you read Wordsworth, when you talk about the times, when you talk about the words are well tongue, sound, yeah. So view of life, and then zeitgeist, spirit of the times, right? These are the word that you start study of English literature with, right? Influence of Burke on Wordsworth and Barclay is different. I'm not sure about. I don't think they're. I don't know if they're connected. Barclay. So here is mm, here are reasons, or I would say there is material that would support the case that reading political science would help you a lot. Of course, Kautilya will be there when you are talking about. So, what I could suggest is history of literature in English, of Indian literature in English. Arvind, I think Arvind is the name. Yes. So, when you read about English literature as written, yeah, I don't want to get into those debates. Indian writing in English, that's how they'll put it. But Indian writing in English, as you get into this, you might come across Kautilya. You will come across Indian names such as Kautilya and Chanakya and so on. So, about config on Firefox, I don't know if you know about this, but if you change these settings, your installation might break. So, do it at your own risk. And on your routing, these are, I mean, this is UPSC, CSE, prelims, previous year. So these are the sites, these are the things that you want to be spending time on. upsc.gov.in, and it's taking some time. There's something called firewall. Firewall. Uncomplicated firewall. UFW. Firewall. Firewall for enterprise. Firewall used by Indian government organizations. I've already mentioned NIC Pune. So I cannot go into this any further for a variety of reasons. Connection has timed out. As I said, eGyan coach did not load yesterday, and there are very good reasons for these things. Okay, I can get into that. I already have these things in front of you. So for IT pros, it says telnet is not secure. Post fix, that's something you don't want to worry about that. New vulnerabilities in 2025. This is too, I mean, deep into particular areas of networking and so on, or computer science, whatever you want to call it. But this is called a tree map. So how do you organize information? That's one thing from how data science does it. So types of visualizations, and yes, on-in routing again. You would have what is on-in routing in the context of computer networking. That's the kind of thing you would have on civil services examination preliminary paper. Okay, paper one. So general awareness, general knowledge, and so on. Configure VPN system wide. Okay, that's just I mean, it's innocent Google search. And handling UDP communication, that's what you do when you are developing your own website, and very particular things. This is about mm, Internet of Things and Raspberry Pi and other protocols, networking protocols than HTTP. So it's something that's very specific. You don't need to. I mean, Django is what you want to look at for sure. Django is what you will be using to write your website. Django has advantages over Flask. What's Flask? They're both micro frameworks or web frameworks. Web frameworks, Flask and Django. Django, being high level, will let you work faster without putting too much effort. It's like Python versus C++, that kind of thing. So yes, okay. What are virtual private networks? And this is trivial knowledge, and this is what I'd like you to know about Stack Exchange, all sites. Stack Overflow is what you want to go for programming. Server is of course you're looking at something like how to do web sockets on Django on Raspberry Pi. That's what the page was. And super user is again Linux administration and Unix and mathematics and English usage, language usage, and if you're interested, you can go through all of this. But the thing is, you'll find all of this in Kiwix, by the way. Kiwix zim files. I've already mentioned zim files. Okay, so you'll find them there, and you can download it on your device and use it offline. You don't have to visit the internet. WordPress development is different from having a WordPress site for free. And this is Wix is another one, and then there is Heroku and deploy website options. Okay, that's what you'd go for. You wouldn't go for Wix or Heroku. That's advertising. Okay, we'll discuss this kind of thing some other time. GitHub pages is one. And, so people are publishing books, publish on GitHub, so on and so forth. Okay, if I were to do it, I could give you a separate page and have a book, so to speak, published there, self-published. It will be called self-published. Okay, coming back to what we were talking about, influences on Shakespeare. That's what you want to study. That's this is a really productive search. This kind of thing comes in handy when you've got targets for your next publication. Such strong things. Psychology in the Rig Veda. So would you say Rig Veda, Rig Ved leads to psychology, or the other way around, or the other way around? That's what got me started, right? And similarly, management principles from the Gita. I find it strange that again it's getting into things that I would rather not talk about, not discuss, but management lessons from Bhagavad Gita. So why does it have to be management that appeals you and not the Gita? That's the kind of question I would be interested in asking. Right. Ayurvedic, yeah. So you know where this is. Again, I've already discussed appropriation, for example. Are you your brain? Again, versus the analogy of the body. So for of the body rebelling Coriolanus. So there is this anecdote or whatever it is called. There is this parable of the body against the brain. So that's what you'd say when you're talking about your brain. If you're talking about and and the list is infinite, you are indeed your brain. If you're talking about these things, you are indeed your brain. I read this yesterday. I can give you where I read this. I am not giving you where I read this, and it does not matter. You can follow topics from brain research if that interests you. And all of this has been, so I've already mentioned, for example, Max Miller, Secret Beast, right? And yesterday I mentioned great books of the Western world. So writing your own extension. I will discuss this some other day. These are, I mean, these are, if you're, well, I'm lazy. I don't write my own extensions. I mean, don't use that against me. But yes, you can write your own extensions and run it on your Firefox browser. This is applicable to other browsers as well. You can write for Google Chrome as well. So, okay, that's yeah. This was the download. I don't know how this happened. You visit a website, things start happening. So visit websites carefully. Okay. Stewart period and books for, you could search it like that. I mean, that's why I don't give recommendations. People probably ask these things because they want to know what books I read, which books I read. Okay, which is, yeah, which is definitely good if people were writing books on me, right? Things like that. So this is what I came across when I try to find out who Dunning was. So there is a question here on this page, and I found out there's W. A. Dunning, and this is what led me to write the importance of reading histories. So, a history of political theories. That's what I would recommend if you were to care about my recommendation. Dunning on Plato and English. You have to keep going through these things, and this is your karmabhoomi. Karmabhoomi is the word. Karmabhoomi. Yeah, karmabhoomi. Yeah. Okay, there's a novel as well. Yeah, and Premchand is one of the most, I mean, respected writers in the Indian. I don't know what the word that came to my mind was canon, but canon has very specific associations, and I don't want to activate, as it were, those associations. That's why I did not use the word canon. But in the Indian body of literary writing, Premchand is one of the most regarded writers, and you have it on your syllabus, by the way. So coming back to, yeah, socket programming, Django, ASGI, we'll talk about these things some other time. I think this is all for today. Do go through the slides here, first things, and you would say if these are first things, what's what's coming afterwards? And I've already told you that there's so much to read, and I've been saying how much we will learn and things like that. So go through this. go through things which are connected with each other: political science, philosophy, psychology, history, even sociology. Again, you would say all of this is philosophy, and that is an argument. Let's not get into an argument, but you go through a lot of intersection, linguistics, and I would study Urdu instead of. I would study Sanskrit. I would study what, law instead of a particular subject that should be, I mean, reconsidered for their existence, even. So, and AI will take care of these things. Artificial intelligence, things are changing, and God willing, it's all going to turn out for the better. Okay, so defense and strategic studies and so many things. So yeah, that's it for this one. Keep going through these papers. That's your karmabhoomi. Karmabhoomi. I don't want to translate it. You're in, yeah, you're from India. If you're taking UGC net, and you would benefit from knowing it as karmabhoomi than as anything else. So thank you for attending. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your time. Stay tuned. Thanks.